Welcome back, listeners, to a new deep dive.
Yes.
This time we're tackling Moonwalking with Einstein.
Very exciting.
But
Yeah.
for this deep dive, we're going to do something a little different.
Okay.
We're going to, we often help you guys memorize books
Right.
using, Delta, brainwave learning and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But this time, we're going to break from that a little bit.
Okay.
And instead, just focus on one of the core concepts behind our technique,
All right.
which is loci and memorization
Yeah.
and the fundamentals of that.
I like it.
So this is,
Back to basics.
yeah, back to basics.
Very cool.
And this is all based on this book, Moonwalking with Einstein by Joshua Foer.
Great book.
Yeah, a really fascinating journey
Absolutely.
into the world of memory,
It is.
really looking at these
Yeah.
memory techniques,
Mm-hmm.
and especially the method of loci as we follow Foer's journey.
It's fascinating,
Yeah.
how he starts out as this journalist who's, pretty skeptical about all the extraordinary memory stuff.
Right.
And he actually ends up, training for the U.S. Memory Championship.
Yeah.
His whole journey reveals so much about how memory works
Mm-hmm.
and what we can actually learn from these ancient techniques.
So the book really dives into, the history and science behind these memory techniques,
Definitely.
especially this method of loci, which is also sometimes called this memory palace technique.
Right.
It sounds pretty out there,
It does.
like something out of Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, like a mind palace, right?
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
the idea is actually, it's rooted in this really captivating origin story from ancient Greece.
Oh.
So imagine like this grand banquet hall,
Yeah.
right? Filled with all these people,
Yeah.
and suddenly like disaster strikes and the whole thing collapses.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And the only person who could identify the deceased guests
Mm-hmm.
based on where they were sitting was this poet Simonides.
Wow. That's intense.
Yeah.
But how did he do that?
Right.
Was he like some kind of super sleuth
Yeah.
with incredible memory or something?
I mean, not exactly.
Okay.
Simonides was able to do this because he had like unconsciously memorized the layout of the hall
Uh-huh.
and the positions of all the guests.
Oh, wow.
So this tragic event, it actually highlights the power of spatial memory,
Right.
which is the basis of this whole method of loci.
Huh.
It's like our brains are naturally wired to link memories with places.
So you're saying our memories are somehow tied to locations?
Yeah, exactly.
Huh.
That's what this technique really taps into.
That makes me think about how I always seem to remember things better
Right.
when I'm back in a familiar place.
Yes.
Like my childhood home or something.
Exactly. And modern neuroscience actually backs this up.
Really?
Yeah, our brains naturally remember visual and spatial information
Okay.
much better than abstract data like, lists or numbers.
Oh, interesting.
The book even mentions this study where participants were shown two pictures with like slight differences.
Yeah.
And most people could spot those differences easily.
Yeah.
But if you show them like lists of words or numbers,
Right.
our memory performance, it just tanks.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense when I think about
Mm.
how I struggle to remember my grocery list.
Right.
But I can easily picture where everything is in the supermarket.
Exactly.
So how does this relate to the method of loci?
Well, this brings us to one of the most intriguing parts of the book,
Okay.
the case of S.
Yes.
Yeah, he was a man studied by the famous neuropsychologist A.R. Luria,
Okay.
and S had an almost unbelievable memory. He
Yeah.
could recall like long lists of words, numbers, even poems with
Wow.
incredible accuracy,
Uh-huh.
even years later.
Wait, are you talking about a real person?
Yeah.
That sounds like something straight out of a superhero movie.
He was a real person,
Oh,
and
yeah.
his abilities were incredible.
Wow.
And his secret was synesthesia.
Anesthesia.
Yeah, S experienced words and numbers as vivid sensory experiences.
Oh, wow.
Like colors, shapes, textures.
Okay.
This involuntary association, it helped him encode information in this multisensory way, making it super memorable for him.
So, like, he could see the number 5 as blue
Yeah,
and the word happy as a circle.
exactly.
That's wild.
But what's important to note is that S's case also reveals the limitations of having such a powerful memory.
Oh, interesting.
Like, he might have been amazing at rote memorization, but he struggled with abstract thinking, understanding metaphors, the nuances of language.
Okay.
It highlights how memory is not just about remembering a lot.
Right.
It's about how we remember
Yeah.
and how that impacts our understanding of the world.
So it's not enough to just cram our brains full of information.
Right.
It's about how we organize and connect that information
Exactly.
in a way that makes sense.
Yes.
So is the method of loci all about,
Yeah.
organizing information in our minds, using these visual and spatial cues?
You're getting it.
Okay.
It's about taking the power of spatial memory
Right.
and making it a practical tool.
Okay.
So in the book, they describe the method of loci
Yeah.
as creating like a mental journey through a familiar place,
Okay.
like your childhood home.
Uh-huh.
And then you place vivid, memorable images that represent the information you want to remember
Right.
at specific points along this mental journey.
It's like tuning your childhood home into a memory palace.
Exactly.
So you're telling me I could use like my childhood home to remember my grocery list?
Exactly.
That sounds way more fun
Yeah.
than just scribbling it down on a piece of paper.
It is.
Yep.
The book actually gives an example of this.
Oh, okay.
Bed Cook, a memory champion,
Okay.
teaches Joshua Ford
Right.
to memorize a to-do list using Ford's childhood home as this memory palace.
Uh-huh.
And he creates these like crazy scenes for each item on the list. Like imagining Claudia Schiffer swimming in a bathtub full of cottage cheese.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Claudia Schiffer in a bathtub of cottage cheese.
Yes, exactly.
That's hilarious.
It's a vivid image.
But I guess it would be hard to forget.
Exactly, that's the point.
So the weirder the image,
Yeah.
the better you remember it.
You got it. The more unusual and emotionally charged the image,
Right.
the more likely you are to remember it.
Gotcha.
So this technique, it really leverages how our brains are wired for visual and spatial information.
Ugh.
It's like turning your brain into a virtual reality game
Yeah.
where each room holds a piece of information you need to remember.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm starting to see how this could be really powerful.
Right.
But I have to ask, is memory just about
Yeah.
tricks and techniques?
Mm-hmm.
What about, like, those people
Right.
who seem to have naturally amazing memories?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Memory isn't just about techniques. It's also about expertise.
Oh, okay.
The book explores how experts in different fields
Okay.
develop exceptional memories
Mhm.
through years of focused practice.
So, like, practice makes perfect kind of thing.
In a way, yeah.
Okay.
Think about chess grandmasters.
Right.
They don't see individual pieces on the board. They see patterns and configurations instantly because of their experience
Yeah.
and stored memories.
It's like their brains have a whole library of chess moves
Right.
ready to go
Yeah.
at any moment.
Yeah.
But what about for people who aren't chess grandmasters?
Yeah.
Can we, like, train our brains to be better at remembering everyday things?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There's another great example from the book
Oh, okay.
about chicken sexers.
Chicken sexers.
Yeah.
Okay.
They can instantly determine the sex of a day-old chick.
Really?
Yeah?
Ow.
And they get there through years of practice,
Oh,
developing this almost intuitive ability
Yeah.
to recognize these subtle anatomical patterns.
Okay, I have to admit, that one's a bit harder to wrap my head around
Yeah, it's pretty specialized.
than chess.
Yeah.
But I guess the point is, they're not consciously analyzing each chick.
Right.
They're just recognizing patterns
Yeah.
based on years of experience.
Exactly.
That's pretty amazing.
What's fascinating here is how their brains have essentially been rewired by experience.
Right.
They've built up this specialized memory
Yeah.
for chicks,
Right.
just like chess masters have for chess moves.
So expertise is, in a way,
Mm-hmm.
like a form of super specialized memory.
You could say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
The more you know about a subject,
Right.
the better you are at remembering new information
Exactly.
related to it.
Yeah.
It's like building a mental framework
Mm-hmm.
that makes it easier to hang new information on.
It's a great analogy.
But these memory techniques, they aren't exactly new, right?
You're right.
I mean, haven't people been using them for centuries?
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
These techniques have a fascinating history.
Okay.
They were crucial in oral cultures for preserving knowledge.
Right.
Think about Homer's epic poems,
Okay.
the Iliad and the Odyssey.
Yeah.
These massive works
Right.
were passed down orally for centuries
Wow.
before they were ever written down.
I can barely remember what I had for breakfast this morning.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine.
It's mind-boggling to imagine
Right.
memorizing those entire epics.
Yeah.
How did they do it?
They used clever mnemonic techniques,
Okay.
incorporating rhythm, rhyme, vivid imagery,
Right.
structured narratives
Hmm.
to make the information easier to remember.
So they weren't just memorizing by brute force.
No, not at all.
Right.
They were cleverly encoding information
Yeah.
to match how the human brain works.
It sounds like they were hacking their brains
Right.
way before hacking was even a thing.
Exactly.
So it wasn't just ancient bards
No,
using these techniques.
not at all. Scholars in the Middle Ages also relied heavily
Oh, really?
on memory techniques.
Interesting.
The book talks about Peter Ravenna,
Okay.
a 15th century legal scholar
Hmm.
who supposedly memorized 20,000 legal points.
20,000?
Yeah.
Wow.
Along with tons of classical texts.
Wow, that's incredible.
And scriptures.
It's like having Google in your brain.
It is, right.
Yeah.
It makes our reliance on smartphones and the internet seem a bit
Yeah.
lazy, doesn't it?
It does make you wonder about the trade-offs.
Right.
Like, we have all this information at our fingertips.
Yeah,
But are we losing something in the process?
that's the question.
Yeah.
The book highlights Gordon Bell's life logging project,
Okay.
where he digitally records almost everything he does.
Really?
Photos, conversations, documents, locations.
Wow.
It's a cool experiment,
Yeah.
but it makes you think about the implications
Right.
of essentially outsourcing our memories.
Yeah. It does make you think. I mean, it's super convenient,
Right.
but I can't even remember my own phone number anymore.
Yeah, I hear you.
I feel like I'm more forgetful in general.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just me?
Yeah.
Or is there like a link between relying on external memory
Mm-hmm.
and a decline in our own memory abilities?
That's a concern a lot of people have.
Right.
While the book doesn't give a definitive answer,
Okay.
it does suggest that neglecting our internal memory might have consequences.
So what's the takeaway here?
Yeah.
Should we ditch our smartphones
It's a good question.
and start building memory palaces?
I mean,
I'm all for a good challenge,
right.
but I also like the convenience of technology.
It's not about rejecting technology.
Okay.
It's about finding a balance.
Right.
The book argues for the value of training our internal memory, not to replace external tools,
Yeah.
but to complement them.
So it's not an either-or situation.
Exactly.
It's about finding a way for internal and external memory
Yes.
to work together.
That's the key.
That makes a lot of sense.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Even simple memory exercises,
Mhm.
like trying to remember your shopping list without writing it down,
Right.
can improve your attention span, mindfulness,
Uh-huh.
and even your creativity.
Oh, wow.
Those are valuable skills,
Yeah.
especially in our fast-paced, information-saturated world.
Absolutely. And I remember the book talking about
Yeah.
how a trained memory can be a powerful tool
Mm-hmm.
for problem solving.
Right.
Like, for example, Fora used his memory palace
Mm-hmm.
to come up with
Yeah.
clever metaphors and connections
Exactly.
in his writing. It's like his memory training
Yeah.
unlocked a new level of creativity.
That's a great example.
Yeah.
Memory isn't just about storing information. It's
Yeah.
also about making connections,
Mhm.
seeing patterns,
Yeah.
generating new ideas.
Right.
These are skills that can be developed,
Yeah.
and they have benefits
Mhm.
that go way beyond just remembering facts.
Okay. So that leads us to the book's final thought,
Yeah.
which is a real head scratcher.
Okay.
Could the future of memory involve seamlessly integrating internal and external memory systems?
Wow.
What would that even look like?
Yeah, that's a big question.
And what would be the ethical and cognitive implications?
It is a big one.
Like something out of a sci-fi movie,
Right.
plugging our brains into the internet.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to think about,
It is.
but also a little bit scary.
It definitely raises some big questions.
Yeah.
Like, imagine having instant access to
Yeah.
all the information on the internet.
Right.
Blended seamlessly with your own personal memories and experiences.
It could revolutionize how we learn,
Right.
how we do research,
Yeah.
how we even create art.
Absolutely.
But it also makes me wonder, would it blur the lines between our own thoughts
Right.
and information coming from outside?
Yeah.
Could it affect our individuality,
It's a big question.
our sense of self?
These are definitely ethical considerations we need to grapple with as technology advances.
Absolutely.
But even without these futuristic scenarios, Moonwalking with Einstein gives us a powerful message
Yeah.
about the importance of memory in our lives.
Yeah.
It's not just about winning memory competitions or anything like that. It's about how memory shapes who we are,
Right.
how we see the world,
Yeah.
how we learn, create, and connect with everything around us.
It's like memory is the foundation of our entire mental landscape.
I like that, yeah.
And Fora's journey proves that memory isn't just like this
Right.
fixed ability.
Yeah.
It's a skill we can actually train and improve.
It is. That's the amazing thing. And as we've talked about, that
Yeah.
training has benefits
Right.
that go way beyond just remembering facts. It's about becoming more mindful, more attentive,
Right.
appreciating the richness of our experiences.
Yeah.
It's about realizing that memory isn't just about the past.
But about the present and the future, too.
So instead of just relying
Yeah.
solely on our smartphones and computers
Yeah.
as memory crutches,
Hmm.
we should explore the incredible potential of our own minds.
Exactly.
It's an invitation to embark on your own memory journey,
I like that.
to rediscover the power and beauty of remembering.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see some of our listeners on the stage
That'd be great.
at the next Memory Championship.
Good luck.
Until then, keep those memory palaces strong and vibrant.